Welcome to the Blue Oasis Podcast. This is the podcast for finding peace and prosperity in your life, learning the history of hobbies, as well as making a little side hustle out of your hobbies. If you want to find balance in your life and find peace, this is your show. Get ready. You're listening to the Blue Oasis Podcast. I am your host, Adam Rothstein. All right, let's get to the show. And welcome back to the Blue Oasis Podcast. With me today is Evan Kuterbach or Kuterbach. How do you pronounce your last name?
That was pretty close. It's Kuterbach.
Kuterbach.
Yep, pretty close though.
I'm familiar with those types of names because I watch a lot of hockey.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into pickleball.
Yeah, sure. So I'm based here in Orlando, Florida. And honestly, my path to starting Canyon Pickleball has been pretty crazy. I actually was in kind of the normal 8 to 5 kind of corporate structure for about 10 years. And about 2 years ago, when my daughter was about to be born, I kind of started to feel a shift. I'd always wanted to kind of go out on my own, try something different, but really, my daughter being born was kind of the catalyst to try something new. And when she was born, I literally came back from paternity leave and kind of just cut out from the 9 to 5 and decided to go all in with kind of a new passion, which was learning more about marketing and kind of learning more about digital marketing and copywriting. And so from there, I started to build out my copywriting business. But really, my passion for pickleball kind of started around the same time. I moved halfway across the country from Colorado to Florida, and I didn't know anyone. I literally had like two friends here. I had my wife, and we just had a daughter. So I was feeling pretty trapped in the house. And right before I left Colorado, I heard about pickleball. I learned about it from a friend. And so, yeah, I kind of realized I needed to get out there and get moving and trying to meet some people. So went out to the pickleball courts and yeah, just kind of started to grow from there, that passion. So
I've played it too. This is also the state where it was introduced to me, and I live in this state as well, just on the other side of Florida.
oh, nice. Okay, awesome.
Um, okay. Um, so coming up to pickleball, what does one individual need to know before getting into this sport?
Yeah, great question. Honestly, what I always tell people is you really don't need a lot of fancy equipment, right? It's the reason why pickleball is so approachable. It's the reason why I just saw a stat. I'd have to verify because I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something about how there's more recreational pickleball players in today's society than there are tennis players, which is pretty crazy now, and especially, well, specifically within the United States. And the biggest reason is because it is so approachable. It's so easy to get into. You only really need, a tennis court. Technically, you can buy a cheap net on Amazon. You can even just hit the ball around in your driveway. But paddles are not very expensive, and really the balls, are basically, a wiffle ball. So you don't need a lot of fancy equipment. And really, what I always tell people too is you don't have to be super athletic. You can get right into pickleball after day one. You're going to feel like you've gotten better, and you're going to feel like, wow, this is a sport that I'm now playing. And that's kind of how everyone feels after their first couple of times playing. So
And absolutely, and in this day and age of inflation, and you also and just high prices of sports in general,
mm,
this is a good option. I mean, but you would pay, $410 to be in a beer league. Of course, most people will write that off and would rather just play pickleball outside in the sun
definitely.
or indoors.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. And honestly, I mean, anything that gets, people outside, gets you moving, gets you hanging out with friends and just enjoying being in your community is really what pickleball is all about.
Yeah. Let's go over the rules actually. Um, do you play to 21 or is it or do you play to 11? And how does the scoring go?
Yeah, so I always tell people that one of the hardest things in pickleball is learning the scoring. That really is one of the hardest things. Most recreational games and even most tournament games usually go to 11. It's usually 11, win by two. And then some tournaments and then some kind of professional leagues and stuff will go to 21. Sometimes they even go to 15. But traditionally, when you're out there playing, with friends and all of that within pickup play, it's usually going to be to 11. The hardest thing to realize within pickleball is different than in tennis and other sports. You're both going to get an opportunity to serve. So when you are playing with a partner, there's you and another person, you're playing against another two people. You both are going to get a chance to serve. So when you're seeing the score in pickleball, you're going to see three numbers, and that's really one of the trickiest parts because you normally it would be, oh, the score is 1-0 or 2-2 or whatever. But in pickleball, you're going to say the score. So my score is two, and then I'm going to say Adam's team score is three. And then I'm going to say either one or two. So whichever server I am I the first server on my team or the second server? I would say my score two, Adam's score three, and I'm the first server. So it'd be 2-3-1, which is very confusing. So I always tell people, honestly, there's a lot of good videos out there to learn the scoring, but that's one of the hardest parts.
And in Wii Sports, it's just like, oh, the backcourt wins, or the front court team wins, uh,
Yeah.
or whatever the announcer said on that game. So tips on leagues. Uh,
Mhm.
have you joined a league or at all?
So I, yeah, so I haven't actually joined a league. I have done quite a few tournaments. I play pretty competitively, and then I also do a lot of rec play. So I have not done any leagues necessarily. I know there's a lot of leagues starting to pop up, but I know like there's a lot of leagues that have traditionally done flag football, basketball, that kind of stuff that are now starting to do pickleball. I haven't done a league though.
Okay. Okay. So you don't have any advice for a newcomer joining a league, or do you?
I would say, yeah, I would say honestly is really just start going to some of your local courts. I always tell people to, find literally just go on Google Maps and look up tennis courts or pickleball courts, and usually you'll find some near you. There's also a really great website that I always recommend people to use, and I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but it's called Pickleheads, and it's a website to be able to find courts near you. And I tell people, you know what, go find a pickup court, go learn, how to play. People are always very welcoming. From there, they'll usually be able to help recommend some good leagues. That's what I always tell people because you definitely don't want to spend a lot of money for a league and then you find out that it's not a great league or it's, not a lot of fun. People are, kind of being jerks. So
Of course. So how much time per week do you go to the court or train?
yeah. So for me, and again, I'm definitely a little different because I do play pretty competitively. I play probably anywhere from I would say like 6 to 10 hours a week, give or take. So I probably play sometimes 2 or 3 days a week. I try to drill and practice as much as I can, but most times my practice comes from actually just playing recreational games. So
That's basically what my practice is coming now right now just from beer league hockey.
yeah, awesome, awesome.
Yeah. So have you taught any classes at all?
I haven't yet. It is something that I would really like to get into. I would like to be able to start teaching some younger people within our kind of Canyon pickleball community. I've posted a few kind of little tip videos and stuff, but I'd like to get more into that because that is a big area where people are always looking to improve, and there's a lot of things you can do to improve without even having to go to a court. You can do a lot of the stuff to get better just by hitting against the wall in your garage, hitting against the wall in your bedroom. There's even drills you can do where you're just sitting on the couch with the ball and the paddle. So there's a lot of ways that you can get better without even having to do.
I've seen some YouTube videos and I actually went to a pickleball class And I remember the guys saying, it's like, put the paddle in your hand and put it in your palm and as if you're going to shake someone's hand. And then
Yeah.
and then it's like the Karate Kid when you're actually in the kitchen or just out of the kitchen
Yeah.
in that term and I'll bring that up in a moment, but it's wax on, wax off. Um, that's what you have. That's what I was told by him. That's what I really remember by that one
That's good.
class.
That's
Okay,
good. That's good. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a pickleball is a game of patience, and it's a game of um, soft touch, right? You want to have soft hands. There's going to be opportunities for you to, grip it and rip it, and be able to hit it really hard. But for the most part, it's a patience game, right? You want to play not to lose. You don't necessarily always want to play to win.
of course, of course. Um, I told I almost forgot about the pickleball dimensions and the court. Now there are a lot of tennis courts that are reformatted for pickleball and then they can be transformed again for tennis. Um, what's the difference in size and length between a pickleball court and a tennis court?
Yeah, sure. It's a great question. So, if you can picture kind of a tennis court in your mind, you can usually I want to say the dimensions are if you were to get a pickleball court and then turn it on its side, you could fit three pickleball courts across a tennis court, if that makes sense. So think about it from like end to end of a tennis court, end to end of a from the sideline to sideline of a tennis court. You can fit about three pickleball courts for one tennis court. So it's one of the big reasons why there's kind of a big clash right now with pickleball and tennis, communities because a lot of cities like mine here in Orlando are converting tennis courts to pickleball courts, and obviously it's making tennis people very unhappy. So yeah, but typically the size I would say is like about a third of the size of a tennis court.
Okay. Okay. Almost forgot um to mention the history of this because this also
Yeah,
is about the history of hobbies
sure.
on this podcast. Um, so this how did pickleball come to be?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I actually did a little mini series on my TikTok about this, or on the Canyon Pickleball TikTok account. But basically, what happened was back in the 1970s, there was this family called the Pritchards, and they had this really gorgeous home, and it was kind of out in the wilderness, out in the trees. And they always had friends and family over. And there was this period of time during the 70s when they had a family over. They were trying to figure out ways to entertain their kids. I've got a 2-year-old daughter, so I totally understand where they're coming from. You're trying to figure out new games and new things to keep your kids busy. And they decided to let's try to create a game. Let's just create something new. And so they went in the garage. They grabbed what was there. They grabbed a wiffle ball. They grabbed some kind of like uh, paddles that were just kind of basically made out of wood. And then they just started hitting the ball back and forth over a badminton net. And so they kind of combined a bunch of different sports into this. And so they were just hitting it back and forth, and they're like, this is pretty fun. It didn't take very long to then realize, okay, well, we're using these really small, pretty much like table tennis size paddles that weren't really working for the wiffle ball. And so they created, what looked like a pickleball paddle, and then they started to lower the net. They started to kind of evolve a little more. And they didn't have a name for it yet. They were just kind of playing this game and they were having a lot of fun. People were coming over to their house, they were playing it. And then basically the name came. So they were kind of big in like rowing and boats and that kind of community being near the water. And there's this term within the rowing community, basically called a pickle boat. And the pickle boat is you can think of like the players on a rowing team or the teammates on a rowing team that aren't going to actually get a chance to row in the competition. So it's basically like you can think of like the bench players. And so the way that basically happened at the end of a rowing competition was two teams would row against each other, and then the people that didn't get to row they would usually just do kind of like a race for fun. And they called that the pickle race because it was a pickle boat. So they did this pickle race and it was kind of the leftover players. So they were like, you know what? You guys created this sport that's made up of all these leftover parts from different sports. Why don't we call this pickleball? And so the name just kind of stuck. And from there on, it was called pickleball. So, yeah, what started out in someone's backyard is this, crazy popular sport to this day. So,
I heard a rumor that it was actually named after some dog named Pickles that also
yeah,
played a role into that. Was that
yeah.
true or
So
just
So it's actually the opposite. So the dog is actually named after pickleball. So another family, they came to the Pritchard's house. They were hanging out and they brought this new puppy over that didn't have a name, some family that was coming over, and they were on the pickleball court. At this point, they called it pickleball already. And they were like, why don't we call the dog Pickles? Like the dog is on the pickleball court. We should call him Pickles. They kind of jokingly said that like the dog is what created the name in an interview, and then from that point on it's stuck. But to this day the whole family knows that and it's kind of documented more that it was from actually the pickle boat. But people kind of like the dog story. It's cute.
nice, nice.
Yeah,
Talk to me about Canyon Pickleball and how you developed that.
sure. Yeah, sure. So I moved to Florida from Colorado. I'm big in the outdoors. I'm a big camper, hiker, snowboarder, all of that. My family and I are actually moving back to Colorado in the spring. And when I was thinking about starting a business and when I kind of finalized that I wanted to get into pickleball, which was about February of this year, I met my co-founder through kind of the marketing community, and we both had a big passion for the outdoors. We were trying to think about how we could combine our love of the outdoors with this new sport that we're both getting into. And really, we started to just kind of naturally think about how we could connect this idea of bringing people outside and bringing people in nature to this incredible community, which is pickleball. And pickleball really is built around community. It's built around being outside, being in the outdoors. And so it kind of happened naturally. When we were thinking about names for the business, I was just kind of shooting out names, and I thought of Canyon because we had gone on a trip to Utah and we were seeing different canyons. And from there, we were like, you know what, like let's continue this path. Let's get our paddles to be inspired by nature. Let's donate back to a cause that's helping preserve our planet. So we donate back to the National Park Foundation. So everything kind of started to happen very naturally, just through our passion of loving the outdoors, caring for this planet, and really just trying to do more.
Nice, nice. And e-commerce, you knew nothing about it, but you put one foot in front of the other and you said, "Let's go."
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I knew enough about e-commerce as probably most people do, which is I've purchased e-commerce, products from e-commerce stores. But I really did not know much about running an e-commerce shop, and to this day, I'm still learning. Right, we're still making mistakes. We're still trying to figure things out. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like a trial by fire. Right, you learn enough to be dangerous, and you just kind of go out there and you start figuring things out. You start asking people. You start Googling things. Google and YouTube have been our best friends. I cannot tell you how many times I've just gone on YouTube to watch a video on how to code something for Shopify or how to tweak something for our logistics, right? So you really just kind of have to figure it out when your back's against the wall and you kind of have no choice.
Yeah, so you now I'm actually on your site right now, canyonpickleball.com. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, I like the designs of this. And if and to my listeners, yeah, you're definitely gonna like this. Do you offer custom paddles at all?
So it is something we are going to start offering in 2025. So we are going to start offering that, really kind of to reach out to different companies, people that are trying to do it as gifts even. We're not sure exactly what that model will look like, but we do want to do some custom paddles, still with like kind of the same ideas of like different colors that we have that we are working with for our brand. But yeah, we want to do that in the new year.
Nice, nice. Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Um, Wow. I mean that this really went well. I didn't expect to get all my questions answered so quickly. I mean like okay, so you have actual pickleballs, you have gears and clothing, everything, and and you have the $9 three set. You're down to $9 for that. Um, I guess a little bit about me. I did it to just it was more about staying in shape than anything else.
Mm,
And it is just nice to see friends every now and then, and I've been a few times now, and I purchased my gear on Amazon, and
yep,
I just like this.
yep.
I just and
Well,
you don't need to have certain conditions. You can, I mean, you could potentially play it in the winter, assuming there's no snow on the ground. Uh,
totally, totally.
but it's always best in the summer, the spring. It's not, you know, but it is, you know, it is going to be one of the biggest games, one of the biggest sports, you know, in the world soon, if it's not already. But do you think this could go and be an Olympic sport?
It's a great question. It's something that, I think people were disappointed when, the Olympics come into the United States here in what is it, 2028 or whatever, to LA and all around and stuff. I know that people were disappointed that it wasn't on the list. I do see it as a future. I mean, when you look at the fact that tennis is there, when you look at table tennis is there, I see it as it's growing more global popularity. I think that's the biggest thing that's been holding it back right now is, you look at countries like Canada, Puerto Rico, Australia is getting really big into it, and a lot of the Asian countries, I know China, and a few others are getting into it. Um, you're going to see more of that kind of, popularity push it forward. So I would like to hope that it would be, sometime soon. So it's definitely continuing to expand.
I think it's crazy that we got breakdancing in the Olympics.
Yeah, agreed.
Even just on a once fluke occasion before we had
Yeah,
bowling and pickleball in there. That
yeah,
makes no
agreed,
it makes no sense to me. Um,
agreed.
well, man, I did not ex anything else you'd like to discuss at all? Because
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's funny that you kind of mentioned a little bit about your background and kind of how you got into the sport, and also, why you played and where you got your gear from. To be honest with you, I mean, Adam, you are our exact target audience because we are going after people that are beginners, that are, just starting, but also people who have played and have purchased from Amazon or Target or, even TikTok shop, something like that. Because really what we are building here is just an incredible community that is looking to do more. We're providing really high quality paddles at a really affordable price that is not going to not only break the bank, but it's not going to break your paddle, right? I think that's an area that, we have just heard time and time again. And so we always tell people, like, if you want to go try another paddle, you want to try something else from, you go on Amazon or something like that, you can try it out. But once you're ready to kind of start improving a little more, or you want to, get a, paddle that kind of signifies your, personality a little more, that's really where, we come into play. So, yeah, I mean, we're having a blast building Canyon, and for everyone listening, you can check us out at canyonpickleball.com on Instagram and all our socials. But we'd love to have, you and everyone on our journey with us and kind of following along. So
okay, now I remember one last thing. I am going to write a book about pickleball. I'll call it Growing Pickleball and Growing the Sport. Um, I make audiobooks on the side as well, and I've sold hundreds of them, which is incredible, thanks to Spotify and Findaway Voices. And usually all my listeners can find them in the show notes below as well. So if you would like to join that on Substack and just keep up to date with me, I'll send you that information as well. Okay. Do you want to close this out? Closing thoughts and any links I should put in the show
Yeah,
notes?
yeah, I mean, just yeah, thank you again, and excited to continue to chat with people who have maybe never heard about the sport before. So, hopefully, anyone listening is convinced to at least check out pickleball, whether it's with Canyon or not. Like I said, we would love to have anyone and everyone. But yeah, you can find us at canyonpickleball.com. Instagram is where we post the most, and it's at Canyon Pickleball. So we're the only one that exists, Canyon Pickleball, so you can find us very easily. But yeah, just thanks again for having me on. Excited to get more people into the sport.
You're welcome. And okay, and to my listeners, if you would like to support me, please subscribe via email to my Substack. There's going to be a link there. Just enter your email there, sign up, hit subscribe. It's totally free. If you'd like to support this podcast, please check out my audiobooks, Growing Baseball, Growing Hockey, Chess the Game for Peace and Prosperity, and Determination. Man, I forget my own titles now sometimes, okay, it was all right, it's Determination, harnessing the power of resilience. There you go. So every single link is going to be there in the show notes slash description on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you're going to listen to this. Um, and and yeah, anything else, Evan?
I don't think so. Yeah, no, that's it.
All right. With that being said, everyone, peace out. Take care.